Hi everyone, my name is Scott Cunningham. The other day, I was hanging out at a neighbor's house. And don't worry, we were all staying multiple feet apart and practicing all social distancing guidelines. But while I was over there, I couldn't help but notice how often our faces were glued to our cell phone screens. And I don't know exactly what everyone else was doing on their phones, but I could assume that they were most likely just scrolling aimlessly through social media platforms. And the reason I say that is because I myself was scrolling aimlessly through social media platforms. And this experience had me thinking, what effect has social media had on my life and my generation as a whole? I'm personally a member of Generation Z, which is everyone born from 1997 to roughly 2012, and it accounts for around 61 million people in the United States. We were raised side by side with the evolution of the digital era, and that has led to a codependency between my generation and stuff like social media and other technology. That codependency has led to major evolution in terms of entertainment and communication, but it's also come with some drawbacks. And today I'm here to talk to you about some of those drawbacks. First drawback is loneliness. In 2018, Cigna, a global health services company, did a nationwide survey on loneliness. To do this, they used the UCLA Scale for Loneliness, which is one of the more trusted surveys they have out there. And the way they do it is they ask people questions and they use their answers to plug into a formula to generate a loneliness score. And at the end of the survey, they determined that if you scored 43 or above, you were determined lonely. And so there was two big takeaways from this survey. The first was that there's a large percentage of the American population that considers themselves lonely, and that's definitely very tough. But the second takeaway I took from this was that the loneliest generation, according to this survey, was Generation Z. And compared that to the greatest generation, which is everyone older than 72, Generation Z was on average 10 points lonelier than the greatest generation. And see, this doesn't make sense necessarily because people in Generation Z are either in school or just entering the workforce. So the amount of connection they have compared to other generations is much higher, and especially the greatest generation. Think about how much people in school see people more than people that are 72. So this got me thinking, why is there this disconnect? So I dug a little deeper, and psychologists say that it's in part due to social media. And this has led to higher suicide rates, higher depression rates, and higher anxiety rates among Americans' adolescents. Another reason for this loneliness is the ushering in of the esports or the online video game generation. So human beings now kind of confuse human interaction with online interaction. And the best example of this is Xbox and PS4s and other online gaming platforms. So either you're playing with people online or you're playing by yourself in these virtual worlds, and you're confusing these for real life human interactions. But as soon as you turn off the console, you realize that you're sitting alone in a room staring at a screen. And this is why some of the loneliness numbers in Generation Z are so high. Another drawback is internet rage. And the way I'm going to explain internet rage to you guys is with an analogy. And I found this in a Harvard Medical School psychologist study done. And the analogy I'm going to use is road rage. Think about when you're driving a car, how easy it is to get mad at someone, or how easy it is to perceive that they're slighting you or doing wrong by you. And you're more likely to honk the horn or yell at them. And the reason you're doing this is because there's no human-to-human interaction. These are machines with four wheels that you're getting mad at. You're not getting mad at the human, you're getting mad at the car that just cut you off. And this dehumanization is similar to what goes on social media platforms and comment sections and in posts. You are able to perceive slights or wrongdoings more so than you would if you were having real human-to-human interactions. And so the psychology behind stuff that's said online is that they're commenting at a profile, not a person. So they're not thinking about the same triumphs and the same hardships you go through every day. They're thinking about your profile or your online presence. And this is not human. This is not how humans were wired. And therefore there's again, a big disconnect between Generation Z and other generations because they're more likely to get mad because of the same psychology that comes along with road rage. Another personal story that I want to share is I know for a fact that I've said stuff on social media that I wish I could take back that may have hurt someone's feelings. And I've had stuff said about me. And I again bring this back to that same psychology study about road rage. It wasn't because I disliked these people. It was just easier to say something because there's no consequences. No one's there to check you on your say. You're not gonna watch someone cry, even though they could be crying, or I could have been crying after reading these comments. Those aren't the reactions you're seeing. You're seeing their online reactions, which isn't necessarily real life. The third drawback I'm going to talk to you guys about is negative self-comparisons. And what I mean by that is social media profiles are most likely people's best foot forward. People are going to put the pictures they look best, who they're hanging out with the coolest people, if they're hanging out with the best looking girls. That's psychology. That's what's going on in these people's profiles. And if you're someone that's constantly looking through these profiles and kind of comparing yourself to these profiles, it's a bad comparison because those aren't these real people. You don't know anything past the surface of what you're seeing on these profiles. So you're going to think, "Oh, I'm uglier than this person," or "Oh, this person has more friends than me." When in reality, most of the time they're just photos or just personas that people are trying to give off to their followers or their friends. And another thing that I read in the book The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, a New York Times bestseller, was the power dynamics of power and authority now come with us to the home, where in prior generations they stayed in the workplace or at the schoolyard. So in the 1980s or the early 1990s, when you came home from work, you didn't know who had more power than you. You didn't know who had more friends. You didn't know who had a prettier girlfriend. You just assumed, or you would hear about it at work the next day, but it wasn't in your face at all times. Today, all these power dynamics travel with you to your house if you're scrolling through these social media platforms, and they can really do numbers on your self-confidence and your psyche. So with all this being said, there are some solutions that I found in my research of the topic that I think are pretty helpful to get you through some of these mental bearings on social media networks. And the first one is balance. So everyone knows that you can't eat fast food all day, every day. It's unhealthy for you. It's not good for you in the long run. And the same thing can be said for social media. If you are on social media all day and not making a conscious effort to go do other things, make real human connections, you're going to get upset a lot of the time. And so the way you can do this is by setting time limits on your phone, or really just making a conscious effort to go out and get some fresh air or do some other things, see some people that you really enjoy in real life. It's a different type of connection than an online connection. The second is mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation is really good for living in the moment. Social media has you living in the past or living in another person's life on the surface level. Mindfulness meditation allows you to live in the present, which is so important in this digital age. Sometimes you need to go through the hardships of life and go through the successes of life and really just be present. And that's what mindful meditation will do. Even though I know from experience, it is hard to turn off your brain for 10 to 15 minutes at a time, but it is very helpful. A third solution I have is counseling services. We all know that counseling services are much more prevalent today than they were, say, 10 years ago. On school campuses, they're either free or discounted counseling services available to us at all times. And this is now becoming a major thing in workplaces as well, where you're able to talk to professionals that can really help you through your mental demons through stuff like social media or human interactions. It doesn't matter. These counselors are trained professionals, and they can really give you some perspective that's very helpful. And the final solution I have is exercise. The science is out there about exercise. It is well known that exercise helps your mental and it helps your body. And that can help with positive self-image. It can help you be more present. It can help you with so many other things. It can help you in school. So these solutions that I'm putting forth are just what I found in my research, but they can maybe help you get through this definitely uncharted territory in terms of mental health crises and other things that have come out of the drawbacks of social media.